My arrogant cousin leaned over the picnic table, smirked in front of 20 family members, and asked, "Can you even fight, or did you just pass papers in the military?" The entire backyard erupted into mocking laughter. I didn't yell or lose my temper. I just took a calm sip of my lemonade and replied, "Only hand to hand. Knives were optional." He chuckled loudly, shaking his head. "Let me guess, they called you princess." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Hades." Right on cue, a quiet, broad-shouldered man sitting near the patio bar, a decorated retired Navy SEAL guest, dropped his drink. The glass shattered across the concrete. His face went entirely pale. His eyes locked onto me in pure shock, and he came to a complete standstill. He knew exactly who I was, and my family was about to learn the terrifying truth. My name is Morgan Vance, and I am 31 years old. Growing up, I was always the quiet outcast in a family obsessed with titles, tailored suits, and corporate ladders. While my cousin Trent spent his 20s boasting about his rapid promotions at a high-profile consulting firm, I chose a very different path. I enlisted in the military, disappearing into classified intelligence attachments for years. To my family, my service was nothing more than a mysterious, unimpressive phase. A simple desk job they assumed I took because I lacked the drive to succeed in the civilian world. That dynamic came to a boiling point on a sweltering Saturday afternoon at our annual summer family reunion barbecue. Over 20 relatives gathered in my parents' sprawling backyard, drinking craft beer and listening to Trent hold court. He stood near the picnic tables, loudly bragging about his corporate bonuses and flexing his expensive watch. I sat quietly on a wooden bench, sipping a cold lemonade and enjoying the breeze, perfectly content to stay out of the spotlight. But Trent couldn't let my quiet presence slide. Sensing an easy target to inflate his own ego, he turned toward me, raised his glass, and smirked in front of the entire family. "So, Morgan," he called out, his voice dripping with condescension, "can you even fight, or did you just pass papers around in the military?" A wave of mocking laughter instantly erupted from my aunts and uncles. I didn't flinch, shout, or lose my composure. I simply set my lemonade down, looked him dead in the eye, and replied, "Only hand to hand. Knives were optional." Trent chuckled loudly, shaking his head with an arrogant grin. "Let me guess, they called you princess." I leaned back, kept my posture steady, and said, "Hades." Right on cue, a quiet, broad-shouldered man sitting near the patio bar, a decorated retired Navy SEAL attending as a family friend, dropped his drink. The glass shattered violently across the concrete floor. The laughter in the yard died instantly as he froze, his face going entirely pale. His eyes locked onto me in pure, unadulterated shock. He knew exactly what that callsign meant, and my family was about to learn the truth. The heavy silence that followed the shattered glass was suffocating. Every head in the backyard turned from the broken tumbler on the patio concrete up to Commander Miller, a 52-year-old decorated retired Navy SEAL who had served 3 combat tours overseas. Miller stood frozen, his broad frame rigid, his eyes fixed on me as if he were staring at a ghost. To my family, my disappearance into the military 8 years ago was treated as a quiet embarrassment. My mother had told the neighbors I was doing simple administrative work at a supply base, while my father preferred to ignore my career entirely, choosing instead to shower Trent with praise every time he landed a new corporate account. Whenever I visited home during leave, Trent made sure to remind everyone that while I was earning a modest government paycheck, he was buying his second investment property. I never corrected them. I let them believe I was just a quiet girl who sorted files in an air-conditioned office, far away from any real danger. Trent, completely blind to the sudden shift in the air, let out a loud, patronizing snort. He didn't notice the blood draining from Commander Miller's face. Instead, he took an arrogant step toward me, wiping a tear of laughter from his eye. "Hades," Trent mocked, shaking his head. "What kind of ridiculous, try-hard nickname is that? Did you pick that out yourself from a movie, Morgan? Or did your little clerk squad give it to you because you were mean in the office?" My aunts and uncles let out a few hesitant giggles, but the laughter quickly died in their throats as Commander Miller took 3 heavy, deliberate steps forward. The casual, relaxed demeanor he had carried all afternoon vanished, replaced by the terrifying, intense gravity of a seasoned operator. He completely ignored Trent, stepping directly into my line of sight. "Where did you hear that Callsign, son?" Miller's voice cut through the humid summer air like an ice pick, low, gravelly, and entirely devoid of humor. Trent blinked, thrown off by the SEAL's sudden intensity. "What? I didn't say it, she did. She's just making up stories to sound tough." "I wasn't talking to you," Miller snapped, his eyes flashing with a sharp, dangerous authority that made Trent instantly shut his mouth. Miller turned back to me, his chest rising and falling slowly as he stared at my posture. "I asked you a question, young lady. Where did you earn the Callsign, Hades?" I met Commander Miller's intense gaze without flinching. "Joint Special Operations Task Force, Sector 4, I answered, my voice steady and quiet. "Operation Obsidian Shadow. Fall of 2021. The words hung in the muggy afternoon air like a thunderclap. Commander Miller took a slow, deep breath, his hands trembling slightly as he ran a palm over his face. He turned slowly toward my family, looking at Trent, then at my parents, with a look of profound, unadulterated disgust. "You think she was a clerk?" Miller's voice echoed across the quiet lawn, deep and thunderous. "You stand here in your expensive shoes and mock a woman who did things in the dark so you could sit here safely and drink beer?" Trent swallowed hard, his face flushing bright red as he tried to maintain his smug grin. "Look, Commander, she's just my cousin. She's exaggerating. She probably worked behind a desk in." "Shut your mouth," Miller barked, the sharp command freezing Trent in his tracks. Miller turned back to the crowd, addressing all 20 relatives. 4 years ago, my unit was pinned down in a blind alley outside Mosul. Severe casualties, heavy fire, and 0 air support. We were out of options, waiting for the end. Then over the comms, a voice came through. No rank, no unit tag. Just one Callsign, Hades. A collective gasp rippled across the patio. My mother's mouth opened in shock, while my father stared at me as if looking at a complete stranger. "Hades wasn't an office worker," Miller continued, his eyes locked onto Trent's pale face. "She was the lead tactical operator attached to a classified forward recon unit. She coordinated a 3-man suppression element, breached a fortified compound alone under heavy fire, and pulled 5 wounded SEALs out of the kill zone. She earned that Callsign because she literally dragged my men out of hell." Trent stood paralyzed, his eyes wide with utter terror as the reality crashed down on him. The smug corporate climber who had spent years treating me like a failure was suddenly shrinking under the gaze of a decorated combat veteran. I want to pause my story right here because I'm curious about the amazing people watching today. Comment down below with the city or country you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. And tell me honestly, have you ever had an arrogant relative belittle your hard work, only to be completely humbled in public? The backyard was so still you could hear the distant hum of traffic from the main road. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. My aunts and uncles sat frozen at the picnic tables, their eyes darting back and forth between Commander Miller, the shattered glass on the concrete, and me. Trent's face had drained of every ounce of color. The arrogant corporate climber who had spent the last 20 minutes flexing his expensive watch and belittling my service looked like he was about to vomit. His lips parted but no sound came out. "Commander," Trent finally stammered, his voice cracking like a nervous teenager's. There must be a mistake. Morgan's just... She's always been quiet. She never told us anything like that. My uncle said she was just in logistics. Because real operators don't brag about their body count over grilled burgers, you arrogant little fool," Miller snapped, his voice sharp enough to draw blood. He stepped right up into Trent's personal space, towering over him. "She couldn't tell you. Those operations are classified at the highest level. The fact that she walked into this yard today without demanding applause or showing off her medals shows more character in her pinky finger than you'll ever have in your entire life. My father stood up slowly from his lawn chair, his jaw loose with disbelief. Morgan, is this true? You saved those men. I didn't answer him right away. I took a slow, deliberate sip of my lemonade, letting the silence stretch until the weight of it pressed heavy on everyone's chest. I looked at my father, then at my mother, who was sitting with her hand over her mouth, staring at me as if a phantom had taken my place. I did my job, I said quietly, my voice calm, level, and entirely devoid of bragging. And when my contract was up, I chose to come home quietly. I didn't need a parade, and I certainly didn't need my own family using my service as a punchline to feel better about their corporate titles. Trent looked down at his shoes. His posture completely collapsed. The smug grin that had defined his entire personality for years was permanently wiped clean. He tried to offer a weak, trembling apology, but Miller stepped between us, blocking Trent completely and offering me a crisp, flawless hand salute right there in the middle of the backyard. I returned Commander Miller's salute with crisp, quiet precision, holding it for just a second before lowering my hand. The gesture sealed the moment. The silence across the patio was total, heavy with the suffocating realization of how badly my family had misjudged me for nearly a decade. If you'll excuse me, Commander, I said smoothly, picking up my bag from the wooden bench. It was an honor meeting you, but I think I've had enough of this family reunion. Miller nodded with deep, genuine respect. The honor was mine, operator. Fair winds. I turned on my heel and walked toward my car without looking back once. Behind me nobody said a word. Trent remained frozen, staring at the ground in absolute public defeat, while my parents sat paralyzed by the crushing guilt of realizing they had traded away their relationship with their own daughter for cheap bragging rights. That afternoon taught me a lesson that will stay with me forever. True strength never needs to shout, demand attention, or wear its achievements on its sleeve. People who are genuinely dangerous, capable, or successful don't spend their energy trying to prove it to a room full of critics. They let their results speak when the time is right, while arrogant people dismantle themselves with their own mouths. Surviving classified operations taught me how to stay calm under fire, but standing up to my family's disrespect gave me the freedom to walk away from their judgment for good. I didn't need their validation back then, and I certainly don't need it now. Before you go, I want to leave you with one final question. Have you ever had a moment where someone severely underestimated you, only to be completely humbled later? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out the favorite video appearing on your screen right now. Thank you for watching.